Hi, my name is Manpreet Singh and welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel focuses on real estate and mortgage insights. This channel aims to empower viewers with the knowledge to make informed decisions in the real estate market. Please subscribe to stay informed about the Canadian real estate market. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a special guest, Shradha Chopra. Shradha, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I'm going to start off with a few questions and we'll take the conversation from there. My first question to every guest is, how long have you been in the business and what exactly inspired you to join real estate?
So I'm entering my 5th year in real estate. And inspiration is actually that when I was growing up, I come from a very normal family and I wanted to change that. I wanted to change that financial background and be like, no, I don't want to be the middle class family. I want to be more. That's the motivation. So money is the motivation.
Money is the motivation.
Yeah.
And when you when you got into real estate, were there a lot of challenges? How did you build up your business?
So actually, when I went through the real estate transaction for the first time, I was actually a client. I wasn't an agent, like when I bought my first house.
Oh, okay.
And that transaction was a disaster. Everything that you can think of that can go south went south.
Wow.
Everybody that you can think of can take an advantage, took advantage. But I learned a lot from that transaction. Basically learned what all can go wrong.
Right. In your first.
Yes. And I didn't want that to be repeated. I was very clear of what I wanted. I was very clear of what kind of a house I wanted. I was very clear on what kind of a monthly payment and what was my budget.
As a first-time home buyer.
Yeah, because I had a very, very limited budget and a very, very limited budget to pay monthly as well. But that didn't work out because some problems with the mortgage. I had to close my first house on a private mortgage. Right. So the monthly payments were very, very high. And that's how I started doing the Airbnb thing, because that was the only way I could afford it. Couldn't afford it out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
So I learned literally everything from that transaction. Then I got my real estate license. Part of the reason was that there are multiple people who went through that when I started digging into it. That there's multiple things that the people are taking advantage of. And secondly, the investment side of the house that I wanted, that I can live there, that mathematical part. There was barely any agents that actually knew that. Like most of them are like all that, oh, this house is pretty, this house is good. But yes, that wasn't my intention. I didn't want a pretty house. I wanted a house that can make me money.
True.
So there was a gap, which was very easy to fix. I come from an accounting background, so that I've always been a numbers person.
Right.
It comes in handy.
So you are good with numbers when you are screening a property?
Yeah, very good.
So my question is that if you have an investor client and if they're looking to purchase, let's say inside GTA or outside GTA, how would you screen a property that this will be positive cash flow? What is a good strategy for them?
A good strategy for that. So actually most of the cash flow properties we just buy outside of GTA. GTA is already maxed out.
True.
And how I screen a property is how I will screen it for myself. And what I mean by that is that it's actually not rocket science. It's just like, okay, this is my monthly expense and this is my rent that you are going to get. And I don't have to go to any kind of website to check how much rent is. I actually use a very unorganized platform to check that, which is actually more practical. That when I started and when I was doing my due diligence for my first investment property, not the first house that I bought, the second one, which was the investment, I used to run like dummy ads. Just to see how much market rent. I didn't want to trust anybody after that second transaction. So I'm like, okay, I used to run dummy ads, see that what kind of a response am I getting. So, okay, this is my rental. I'm extremely, extremely conservative investor. So my numbers are very, very conservative. Like I'm prepared for like an extreme worst case scenario.
Right.
And yeah, if that rental numbers work, then I move forward. I only buy and sell 2 type of assets, a detached or a semi-detached.
Right.
I don't like condos. I have a very, very strong opinion against it. And no townhouses too, because those are made for like families to live in. Those are mostly single families. It's not an investor.
But isn't it, you got to have a bigger budget for semi or detached?
Or you can just go outside.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the GTA. We're not in the GTA anyway. True. Most of the investments, yeah.
And then managing the tenants living, let's say somebody's living in Brampton, Mississauga, and you end up purchasing a property with them in London. How would they manage the tenants?
So everywhere that I have actually sold or purchased, so every city that I have sold an investment, I have my own investment.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because I'm testing the market, seeing as an investor, I'm an investor first, then a real estate agent. As an investor, I would not trust any agent that doesn't have their own portfolio. I just feel that if it is so good, why don't you have a portfolio there, right?
True.
So I have an ecosystem in every city, may it be like 2 hours away, 3 hours away, 1 hour away, an ecosystem that consists of my own construction team, my own rental team, and my own property management team.
Oh, nice.
And it's less than market, like market price for the clients.
Right.
So it's a good benefit for them. And everything is very passive to the point that the tenants don't even know the owner's name. That's how I have it set up.
Amazing.
Like for the tenants, the property manager is the owner.
Is it just within Ontario or outside?
Just within Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah, just within Ontario.
And coming back to your social media, you what I've seen is you spend quite a bit of time in creating content.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for every realtor. But has social media helped you in growing your business?
Yeah. Actually, 70-80% of my business comes through social media.
Wow.
And it just started like just very randomly actually, because I post, like, I remember posting this one video explaining about what a refinance is, and literally just like explaining it like I'm explaining it to a 5-year-old.
Right.
And I didn't think that, I was in my head, I'm like, everybody knows what it is, but you'll be surprised how many people didn't know. But yeah, that's how I'm like, okay, so there's a lot of information that you can give out, and I actually just post whatever I actually do.
Okay.
What I mean by that is that if I sold a house,
as real as possible.
Yeah. If I sold a house and whatever the numbers are for that house, positive or negative, because not all the shots that you shoot are going to work. Like,
100%.
Like, sometimes I prepared the client for a conservative approach. Yes, but more realistic was it that the property is going to be cash flowing. Now the rules have changed and now it is breaking even.
Right.
So we had a plan, it didn't work out.
True.
So we were prepared for a worst case. So we're fine. We can survive it. But that doesn't mean that you're cash flowing, right?
Right.
And I post that because that's just the reality. Like, I have it for my own properties too.
That's amazing. You prepare your clients for the plan B.
Extreme. Plan B. I have a plan A, B, and C. Only then I move forward with the property.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And now coming back to what I'm understanding is that you're more interested in investment properties, right?
Yeah.
How do you screen the right tenant? That's very important, right?
So I actually like to meet the tenant. I feel that I have been in the industry long enough to know that every paperwork can be just not right.
True.
So I prefer meeting the tenants and going with my gut. I know that is not the most genuine answer, but I actually go with that. I wouldn't say I'm 100% right. 9 out of the 10 times it has worked out. But there's still been bad instances as well. Yeah.
Amazing. So for investor clients, what I'm understanding is you have the full package where their investment property will be managed.
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't have to worry about much, because a lot of people, they are hesitant about investing in real estate, especially in Ontario, because of the LTV issues that we are facing, right? So when I speak with my clients, let's say if somebody has equity and they're looking to refinance, and my question to them is sometimes, are you looking to invest, or what's the plan, right? And they'll be like, no, we don't want to invest in real estate because we are too scared if we get a bad tenant, and then we just have to go to LTV and all the horror stories that we see on social media, right? So I get this a lot from my clients. And remember how you were saying that you also do a little bit of a commercial, right?
Yeah.
How different it is dealing with commercial real estate than residential?
Like in a tenant's perspective?
From the investor's perspective.
Okay. So I'll tell you that most of the tenants are nice, and there are bad tenants too, but most of them are nice.
Right.
And it's actually not always the tenant's fault. And I'll explain it to you from an example, right? This is my own client, right?
Yeah.
So we sold him a house, and he's like, okay, you know what? He doesn't want the management thing, and he's going to self-manage. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, right? Self-manage. So he's managing the thing. And now what happened is that the tenant told him that there's something that needs to be fixed. Okay. Now, most of the landlords or the new landlords, including the ones that I have my own clients, I've seen that as soon as they start collecting the rent, they don't want to spend any money on the property. That is not how a business works. You make money, you need to spend money on the property too, if you want to sustain in it for a long time.
Right.
So just an example, like this example, something broke down and they're like, oh, get this fixed. He ignored it. He's like, oh, no, you have to do it, blah, 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 whatever. Another, let's say, week passed by, 2 weeks passed by, he's not getting it fixed. Month passed by, not getting it fixed. Now the tenant said, if you don't get it fixed, I'm not going to pay. And now he's going around saying that I have a bad tenant.
Right.
It's actually not the tenant's fault.
True.
It is your fault. But that's not what you're going to say to everybody.
Right.
So there's multiple instances like this too. So what I will tell you is that I'm not going to say I've had like a smooth road. And I tell every investor this, whatever, if you enter into investment, this is not a smooth road. This is a bumpy ride, but it is a profitable one. Does it come with these challenges? Yes. Is it always going to be like, oh, wow, flowery, greeny picture? No. But these tenant problems are actually not as big as people make it sound like.
True.
Sometimes it's a genuine problem for somebody too. Like, let's say I've had seen people, oh, they're so adamant that, oh, they need to pay on the first. Man, maybe they had like some family thing and 2-3 days after, it's not going to hurt you that much that people make such a big deal about it, right? Like I've had an instance where I sold a house to a client and they were doing they were renting it to students, right? So I have been doing student rental for a long time and I maintain a very good quality and a very good like environment for the tenants. What I mean by that is that I have regular cleaners that are going to clean. I'm not even expecting them to do anything, right? For them, everything is taken care of. $100, $200 out of my pocket every month is not hurting me and it's maintaining my property.
True.
If I sell 10 houses to 10 different clients, I tell this that please send regular cleaners to 10 clients, all of them like 100 times before selling it.
Right.
30% of them are not going to do it as soon as they buy the property. And those 30% or 3 out of the 10 tenants are going to exit this game in 1 year.
True.
Because for 1 year, they collected the rent, they made the 200 every month extra. And after 1 year, when the tenants left, they have this huge pile of maintenance list that they have to take care of. And they're like, oh my God, this is so bad. We can't do it. It's actually you because you didn't provide the regular maintenance.
When you're working with commercial investors, do you feel that they're more confident because they have a lot more power in comparison to the residential landlords, right?
No, actually, it's the other way.
Really?
Because if you have a building, you're dealing with like multiple bunch of clients. Like let's say if I buy a multifamily, right? So then you're dealing how a multifamily process is that the whole game of a multifamily is that you buy a house or a building where there's like tenants living for like 10, 20 years. And then you kick the tenants out or come to an agreement and then you update the building and match the market rents. That's when you'll get the valuation.
True.
So it's actually more complicated. You need more money. Like because and there's no fixed like if I'm buying a residential house, I can tell you that hey, I need like X amount of dollars to move forward. But for a commercial, that's not the case because I can only tell you the down payment, but there are multiple factors that haven't been accounted for, like how is the conversation with the tenants going to take? How long is it going to take? Because let's say if it takes 1 year, for that 1 year, I am paying money out of my pocket because it's not cash flowing yet, right? Nobody can tell you how long is it going to take until I have that conversation. Like if the tenant's going to ask for cash for keys, I don't know how much they're going to ask. Maybe they're going to ask 2,000, right? So that's another factor that can change. And then how much is the renovation going to take after? Because until most of the time you are not able to even see all the units because the tenants aren't the most cooperative. They've been living there for a long time. They know they're going to be thrown out very soon. So they're not the most cooperative. So you actually need much more budget. If you're going in a multifamily, it's a much bigger game. You'll get the returns, but it's a much bigger game. Yeah.
When I was talking about commercial, I was referring more towards the commercial spaces, the let's say the warehouses or the office spaces, right? Because the tenant laws in those properties works very differently than residential, right?
Yes. But I usually mostly just sell businesses or multifamilies or residential.
Okay.
Not a lot of like commercial spaces. So I don't have a lot of experience to comment on it.
Okay. And I was going to come back to an investor. Let's say if somebody has 20% down, they're looking to invest in a property. And what is the good strategy for them if they want a positive cash flow? I completely understand they're not going to find something in the GTA.
Yeah.
Then what is the step-by-step procedure for them?
So $100,000 to start with, right? Which gives us a property for like $500,000. 20%. And net cash flow outside of the GTA, it can be like maybe 2-3 hours. What we are getting right now is around 800 to 1,000 after property management.
Oh, okay.
So after all expenses, everything taken
Student
care
rentals
of.
or family?
Both. So how it works is that if you're giving it to students and stuff, maybe it's like 1,000 to 1,100, maybe 1,200. If you're giving it to families or like in like a duplex situation, then maybe like 800 to 700, but still cash flowing.
Right.
From a conservative number, and even if everything goes south, immigration stops, this whatever, still that property is going to break even, not going to take money out of your pocket.
I have two questions now.
Yeah.
Number one is I'm working with an investor and he is only focusing on a certain type of property. That is a bungalow. And he's like, bungalow is going to give me the most cash flow, right?
Okay.
And I don't know how we run the numbers, but and the second thing is that does the location of the property matters too? Because if you're aiming at student rentals, you probably want to be closer to uni or something, right?
We're actually not just like, aiming towards student rentals. And I don't like to go into an investment with just one strategy. What I mean by that is that I don't want to buy a house where I'm purely just focused on that, hey, I'm going to give it to students, because what if students stop?
Right.
So I like to be in a situation. So I don't like to be super close to the college or the university. I'll tell you the reason why. Because when you want to sell the property, you're always going to have issues. Because if you're buying it you should always buy it as an investor and sell it to a family. That's the time you'll be able to make most profit, right? Because when you're selling it to a family, they're more emotion driven. If somebody is selling me an investment, I'm just going to run the numbers. There's only so much profit I'm going to give you, because after that, if I don't make money, I don't want this property.
That's true.
So I don't like to buy extreme close proximity, because it's always going to be a house which is going to be an investor unless you're buying it to like have it forever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the good strategy is, as what you're saying, is buying a property as an investment and then maybe do some small renovations and then sell it to a family. Right?
Sell it to a family, but this is a long-term thing. I'm not talking about a flip. I'm not talking about a flip. I'm just saying like 5-6 years down the line. So don't think like there's no quick money in real estate. If you got quick money, you were lucky. That's not normal.
In the world we live in, especially people our age, they want to make quick money.
Yeah.
Especially with all the Bitcoin and all the other coins and all that stuff, NFTs and whatever it is, right? But it's very important for Gen Zs and millennials to understand is that if you want to make money in real estate, it's a really long-term game. You cannot just make money overnight, right? And people are more attracted and more used to they want quick money.
Yeah, but that's just not how it works, right? You have to be prepared for the worst. Like when I started my investment journey, interest rates, I had like variable interest rate and interest rates were down. I was like cash flowing like amazing, right? And then interest rates went up and our cash flow went down, but no loss. Now interest rates got down again. Our cash flow increased. So good. So I was prepared for this up and down. So I ran numbers with like 8-9% interest rate.
Wow.
Right? Because you cannot be an investor if you're only running numbers through best case scenarios.
That's true.
That's just not sustainable. Everything was cash flowing at that time, but that's not a sustainable approach because anything can change, right? If a client comes to me and they say that, oh, we're going to buy this house and how much do you think is it going to be worth in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, right? There's multiple agents. Yes, they might say that, oh, yeah, you buy it today, it'll go up by like 200,000. But nobody knows. Nobody knows. Everybody's guessing. And as an agent, if I just say it that, hey, yeah, it'll go up and it doesn't go up, there's nothing you can do about it. So might as well be prepared for the worst, right? I'm like, I don't know. Don't count on that. Like, maybe in 5 years, it will go up. No guarantees. Maybe in 10 years, it'll go up. So how we look at an investment property is that just from the cash flow, forget about the appreciation.
Right,
if I'm making $1,000 every month, in 10 years, just from the cash flow, my investment, 90% of my initial investment is out.
Right.
If there is any appreciation, great.
That's a bonus.
If there's no appreciation, I'm not dying over it. It's fine. I'll survive.
That's how a lot of investors in the US they run the numbers. They don't care about appreciation. All they care about is the money, the cash flow per door.
Yeah.
And this is how they grow. And for Canadian investors, it's very important to understand that we don't have the fixed term for like 15 or 20 years
Yeah.
like the US.
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand if situation changes when
Yeah.
it's time to renew your mortgage,
Yeah.
what will happen
Anything
then,
can
right?
happen, right? And like what I have learned, like from my parents, from my dad, in real estate, is that he always says that there's never going to be a situation where if you make, let's say, 200,000 from a house, and now you're chilling with that 200,000. No, you're going to reinvest it, right?
100%. Yeah.
But your day-to-day expenses remain the same. That's why I always say that if you want to be like, if you want to be like financially free, appreciation actually doesn't matter. It's the monthly income, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a monthly income that comes, business up or down, it doesn't bother me that much, right? It's fine. I'll survive, right?
Yeah.
So anybody who is just counting on that appreciation won't be able to sustain on this game for a long time.
True.
Yeah. I think about it. Like if I make like 25,000 every month just from cash flow, I don't really care if this property is going up.
No, that's completely understandable. And as I was saying, the investors in the US,
Yeah.
they are strictly driven by the cash flow.
Yeah.
They don't really care about the appreciation, right? And this is the difference that we have in the Canadian and the US real estate market. And I was just going to ask you, maybe I've seen some of your videos where you invested in the US.
Yeah.
How was that experience? And if you want to share.
So I'll tell you that we made one investment in the US. I still feel personally it's not that enticing. I guess I always compare it to the opportunity cost that I have here. Personally, for me, it was very small. It's more of a scale game in the US.
Right.
You wouldn't feel it until you're like at 10, 20, 30 doors. Okay. It's easy to scale. It's easy to scale there. So with one, I'm not feeling it as much. However, I will tell you that just because I'm not physically there, I know there's opportunity. I just feel that I am the one, I'm missing some piece. I just don't know what it is. But I'll figure it out. I'm still figuring it out. But I know there is a missing piece. Something that I'm missing. But for now, like as of today, I'll say that the investment is okay. It's not a bad investment, but can it be better? Yes.
Positive cash flow?
Yeah, it's positive. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was going to come back to another strategy of real estate, which was very popular in the pandemic days, is fix and flip.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in that kind of property transaction where you did fix and flip and made some money out of it?
Yeah. So we made money out of it. We've done a few flips. But the thing with flips is that it changes very fast with the market. Okay. So you should, again, very conservative investor, always a plan B, because the problem with the flip is that a fresh renovation price is a fresh renovation price, right? Like if I made the flip and a house doesn't sell, and if I put tenants in it, that is gone now. Because after 1 year, it's just not going to be that much value.
True,
either you have that holding power, because that a lot of money gets stuck in it. And a lot of people, because it's a short-term, a short-term flip. So they get like private loans and everything. So the monthly cost is also very high, right? Yeah. So the monthly cost is also very high. So I don't suggest it for first-time investors. I don't suggest it. I feel it's just too much risk. There's multiple people that come to me because everything sounds so great on social media, quick money. But that's not the case. I just feel that if you're a first investor, like a first-time investor, please take baby steps.
Right. Very important.
It is so important that you can make like as small as like 5,000, 10,000 on a property, but you need to make some money to stay motivated. Otherwise, you're going to hate this game. One loss, it's very hard to come back. Right? So I don't suggest it for first time. Does it make money? Yes, it does.
Even in this market, do you think?
It just depends. It's like
the
some
location
people,
and everything,
yeah,
right?
and then what kind of a flip you do. Like some people just do like that flip where you can just see that, oh my God, it's just fixed from the outside. It can break anytime, right? It's just because if you do a flip, you can walk into a house and be like, hey, this house is a flip. White kitchens, same color flooring. It's very standard.
Coming to this, I'll give you an example. I have a friend. And he works from home. So he lives in the house most of the time, most during the day. And what he's doing is he bought a very nice lot. It's a corner lot in Mississauga. And what he's doing is on a monthly basis, he's renovating the whole house, right? From inside. And he has a big budget. So he's going to spend at least 300, 400K. He bought the property not at a very good point of time. He paid a little bit extra, I would say. So his property is kind of worth for what he bought it for.
Okay.
So I would say there was no appreciation in 3-4 years, and he's been living in the house for 3-4 years,
Okay.
right? So every month he's doing some renovations, some this, that, but he's doing high quality renovation.
Okay.
So his first thing was when a buyer enters this house, they won't be able to tell it's a fix and flip.
Okay.
He's living in the house, but he's getting everything done in a premium way. So that's his strategy. But my question to him was, how do you know the market is going to be when it's time to sell? But he was like, I'm in no rush to sell, right?
Yeah.
I want 2 million. So when the market will get me 2 million, I'll sell it. Otherwise, I'm happy living here.
That is how it should be, but that's not how fix and flip, because what if I have like 10 flips going on? This is his own house, so great.
Yeah.
But you should have that holding power.
True.
I feel that you should have that holding power. Like I have a bunch of like my cash flowing houses, which like I've had like a few people that knocked my door and be like, hey, we want to buy this, and I would personally give them an absurd price.
Right.
Because I have no intention of selling it. But if they give me that absurd price, I'll be like, okay, sure. It is an absurd price, right? But I'm in no rush to sell. I make so much money from the cash flow. I don't want to sell it. But if you still want to give me this price, then sure.
And then people were so positive back in days about fix and flips. They were like, we'll get more private mortgage for 6 to 8 months. We'll do our renovations. We'll make 100, 200K profit. Because the market is going up at such a fast pace that it's very easy to make money, but that's not the case anymore.
A lot of FOMO, right? I remember when this market was going up, I personally, for myself, sent close to 15, 16 offers, 15, 16, all rejected.
Wow.
Because they were listed at 400. We were sending offers at 600 because that's my max number is going to work.
What year was it?
Like peak COVID year. Right?
Okay.
But I'm like, okay, if I'm buying it for 600, I'll spend like 100 grand, I'll make like 100 grand. That's my calculation. Some people are buying those houses for 800. I'm like, what kind of maths are you doing? I have no idea.
True.
And those are the people that are struggling. And now they've spent the 100 grand, but it's it's worth like 750 now. So it's worth like even less. So, but like I feel that I'm like, so there's no, like as an investor, there's no emotional decision. If I get it, great. If I don't get it, whatever.
True.
Not like crying over it.
Yeah, I think it's very, as you were saying with fix and flips, it's very important to understand what is the current market scenario. And then take your decisions on the basis
and have
of
a backup plan.
And always have a backup plan. That's very important. And I think I would end this podcast with the last question. Is sitting at the end of 2024, how do you see 2025 for real estate investors and also real estate agents and everybody in the market? Do you think it's going to be a busy year, or what is your opinion?
I don't see this market getting any better before 2028.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
think next year is going to be even harder. Yeah, that's what I think.
So it's about 3 years, 4 years.
I don't see it.
But don't you think that with the drops in the interest rate?
Nope.
That won't bring the buyers?
Doesn't matter.
The first time home buyers? Why would they rent for 3-4 years?
Doesn't matter. They can. But like, let's say like 100, 200, 500, 100,000 first time buyers, they don't like that doesn't change the market too much, right?
The investors do?
No, investors, but on a whole, everything on a whole. Just the sentiment that's going around is very, very negative right now. I don't see it getting any better for 2020 before 2028. Like whatever I'm selling right now, I tell everybody that you need to hold this house minimum till 2028, 2029. And if you want to make quick money, don't buy. Just don't get in.
That's a very honest advice from
don't get
investor.
in. Like it's just not worth it.
No, amazing. I had an amazing conversation, and thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.